Everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, or at least they like to think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody's ever heard my side of the story. The three little pigs. I'm the wolf. Alexander T. Wolf, to be exact. You can call me Al. I know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves can eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think that you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real fucking story. So Alexander T. Wolf, way back, once upon a time, was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a sneezing cold, and I ran out of sugar. Shoo! So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now the neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. But he had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind will build his house out of straw? So of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right the fuck in. I didn't want to just walk into somebody else's motherfucking house, so I called, little pig, nigga, are you in there? No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed, and I snuffed, and I blew, and I sneezed a great sneeze. Just kidding. And you know what? The whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of that pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time, with his little curly tail and all, sticking straight up like a power bottom at the last hour of pride. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw. So I ate that shit up. I think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there, even though it'd be kind of like a pork roast sandwich, if I may. I was feeling a little bit better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled, go away, wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I puffed, and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know, when you do a bunch of coke, you know how that goes. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail, wolf's on it. Now, you know, food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little bit better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house to this guy that was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family because he had built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house, no answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what? The rude little porker answered, get the fuck out of here, wolf. Don't bother me again, motherfucker nigga. Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar. Nigga was packing socks full of sugar. And he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of cake. When I felt the cold coming on, I huffed and I snuffed and I puffed and I sneezed once again. And then the third little pig yelled, and your old granny can sit on a pin. That's fucking rude. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my dear old granny like that, I go a little crazy.
Let's just say I went
ham. Of course, I was trying to break down the pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. Big bad wolf. The rest, as they say, is history. Big T Wolf, big and bad. Red Riding Hood saddles, wolf and puff and puff and stuff. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner. They figured out a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story. I was motherfucking framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar, Pigpenny.